I'm gonna read it, and then I'm gonna go through the parts of it that more awareness and some of these premises can come in. I've been healing people for 33 years. I'm a master healer and I've helped thousands. I have not been able to figure out how to get my healing practice and business going. I feel overwhelmed by all of the choices and options and marketers. I don't know who to trust, and I've had some bad experiences with marketing people, which makes it even harder. My brilliance is my healing. This is my service here. I struggle with running the back end business aspects, and this constant inner struggle tears me apart. I'm good at healing. I'm not good or confident with people. I like to focus on perhaps hiring someone to get me interviews on podcasts. Those brought some income earlier this year. How do I increase my confidence as to how and who to hire? So there's a lot to unpack here. I'll try to unpack it quickly because I know we've been here for a while already. Okay, so let's unpack this step by step, right? Master healer, I've not been able to figure out how. So inside of that statement is, I can't make this work until I figure it out. And again, I'll go back to something that I shared earlier. When life presents a circumstance to you, first response is, let me see this from the perspective of source. Typically, our first response is, I gotta figure this out. That's normal. That's the human lens through which we're looking, right? But when you're looking through the source that you are, the source energy that you are, and guys, I cannot underscore, emphasize I don't know the best way to, I wish I could give you this, but everyone has to have their own experience. The less you identify with the physical form, the more you're identifying with the source energy within you. The less you identify with the story, the more you allow your higher self to come through with ease, effortlessness, okay? But how do you bring that to a situation like this? Let's do that. So right here in this moment, I gotta figure out how to get my healing practice and business going. Instead, you go, I'm gonna choose to allow wisdom to come through from my higher self. You're in the same moment, right? We're stepping through moment by moment. The premise says my focus is my superpower. If you're focused on figuring it out, you're focused on hard work. You're focused on, I, in my human element, need to figure this out. The biggest problem is you don't see that you're not separate from the source energy within you. If you and the source energy within you are one, and you know that the source energy within you created all the planets, hung the planets in orbit, created everything that you are experiencing in your life right now, the worlds, you know that the greater part of you is that, why would you choose to want to figure it out only from your physical form? So in that moment, when the mind says, hey, you gotta figure this shit out, right? That's the mind of worry. Girl, this ain't working. You gotta figure this shit out. You go, you're now awake in that moment. You're now aware in that moment. You're not unconscious. You're not unconsciously groping around in the darkness of your mind, trying to see what the human body can do and what the mind can figure. You're not in that. You're like, oh, I just turned the light on. Oh, I don't have to figure this out. I am not separate from the source within me. Therefore, this business, this calling that I feel is supported by the source energy within me. If this calling that I feel is supported by the source energy within me, then I look to that as my resource. I look to that as my sustenance. I look to that for ideas, for clarity, for confidence. I look to that. See the switch? In the same moment that you're looking, you can go with the mind and the illusions of the mind, or you can go with truth which is you're not separate from the source within you. If you're not separate from the source within you, you begin to conjure that up as your focus. You begin to look at what's possible there as your focus. And as you begin to look there, confidence starts to come up. And as the confidence starts to come up, instead of the worry, you're in a new zone of energy. And because you're in a new zone of energy, more can come through from the higher source within you. Ideas can come up that couldn't come up before when you were clogging it up by groping around in the darkness of your mind. You just flip the light switch on. You're now aware. Wait. I am one with the source within me. If I'm one with the source within me, truly the only problem that needs to be solved here is the awareness that there's a higher power within me that can help me with all of this. And if I know that there's a higher power within me that can help me with all of this, why am I not spending more time there trying to understand what the higher power within me is giving me with regard to this venture? Right? So that's the moment that you switch in terms of figuring it out. I feel overwhelmed by all the choices and options and marketers. Again, you have a choice to feel what your physical body is focused on, right? The very temporal human existence. Or you have a choice to focus on, wait, I am one with the source energy within me. Source energy within me is not overwhelmed. I don't have to try to figure out all the choices and the options. I have a higher source within me. I have a higher option within me. I have a higher choice within me, and I could tap into that choice right now. Why am I getting myself confused with what's happening in the marketing world? Let me tune in to the higher power and the source within me. Source within me, I call forth wisdom. I call forth clarity. I call forth stability. I call forth confidence right now because I know that exists in a part of my existence is that. And I want that to be more of what I'm feeling. I want to feel more confident. I want to feel more sure-footed. So I'm calling forth that. I am turning the light on in my mind first so that I can see this situation through a different light. That right there is how I speak to myself. I'll go, wake up, Allison. Nope. I am calling forth stability. I am calling forth confidence. I am calling forth the power of the wisdom and the power that I know is a part of who I am. I am calling forth the fact that I am not separate from the source within me. If I'm not separate from the source within me, then I stand in the power of the source that is within me, not in the power of marketing. It doesn't mean you cannot do marketing, but that's not your power. Right? So that's what I would do differently in your shoes if that feeling of overwhelmed, because that can happen, right? In real life, after this event is over, overwhelm can come up. Wake up. I'm feeling overwhelmed right now. That's fine. It's part of the human experience. I'm not going to resist it. I'm just going to watch it. And as I'm watching it, I'm going to tune into the spirit that I am. I'm going to tune into the fact that I am one with source energy. If I'm one with source energy, I have the power that source energy has. If I have the power and the wisdom that source energy has, there is nothing for me to be worried about right now. I speak to myself that way. Sometimes I am pacing back and forth in my bedroom saying the exact same things I'm saying to you here. Back and forth, back and forth. While I'm witnessing it, it gives me the space. Because if I'm fighting with the overwhelm, I shouldn't be feeling overwhelmed. You don't have to fight with it. Overwhelm is part of the human experience. Overwhelm is coming up. You just dance with what's arising, right? While you're watching the overwhelm, you go, I'm just watching you play out in the physical form. That's fine. But I'm going to tune in to who I know that I truly am, right? Next part. I don't know who to trust. Whenever we say I don't know who to trust, we don't trust in a higher power. Because when we trust in the truth of who we are, we're not concerned about who to trust out there because there's trust in here. I will point you back to the video that I did titled Opening to Limitless Abundance. Listen to that again, because that and pivoting out of worry is another one. When you know that your sense of security is sourced from within, then you don't worry about who to trust out there. And whether one of those bad experiences, you said I had some bad experiences with marketing people, one thing that I will say about that, that's the past. Why are you making it relevant today? We do that all the time to ourselves. Well, that happened 3 months ago, and I'm going to suffer over it now. Why? That already happened. You're a new person now. You're a confident person now. You're trusting the source within you now. That plays no role in who you are now and the choices that you're making now. So when you say the whole issue of I don't know who to trust totally disintegrates in the light that you are. If you know that you're light, and if you know that you're one with the source within you, then who to trust is not even an issue because you trust yourself. I trust that the higher power within me, the source energy from which I am not separate, will be my higher power, will be my guidance through this whole thing. I'm not looking to a marketer or somebody to save me. What saves me is my awareness of the truth of who I am, my disconnection from the story, my disidentification with the story, and my stronger identification with the fact that I am source. And there's no separation between the source within me and what's playing out in this story. There's no separation. We're one. We're one. We're one. If we're one, then I'm always tapped into that power, whether I choose to use it or not. It's kind of like if you have a toaster, you have a microwave, it's always plugged in, but the power is not being used until you put something in the microwave. Well, you're always plugged into power. All of you, all of us are always plugged into power. We're plugged into universal energy that has no limits, but we're not using it. Okay, so that takes care of the who to trust and bad experiences. My brilliance is my healing. This is my service here. I struggle with running the back end. That's a claim that you're making. That's an affirmation. And I would invite you to question if that's the affirmation you want to call over your life. I struggle with running the back end. This is so you're repeating the word struggle. It's kind of like the repeating of the word suffering, suffering, suffering. So struggle, struggle, struggle. I struggle with running the back end. And this is a constant inner struggle that tears me apart. The only reason that you're experiencing struggle is because you perceive yourself to be separate from source. You can say it's the business, you can say it's the back end, you can say it's the business aspects, you can say that it's all of those things, but at the core of what's happening is I don't believe that me and source are one. I believe that I have to figure out life on my own. I don't have non-physical backing. I am here on this planet all by myself, struggling through this life, trying to make it on my own because I don't have any support at all. It's a claim of powerlessness. And the only reason you can go there is if you truly do not perceive yourself as connected to the source within you. I am telling you guys, spend more time contemplating that you are not separate from source. Somehow make that a running mantra in your life. I am not separate from source. And I made it a running mantra in my life until I felt certain about it. Until I felt certain about it. So if you keep going back into the story, and the story is your only perspective on life, then you're not tuned in enough to the fact that you are not separate from the source within you. If you're not separate from the source within you, then you know that something's going to happen. You know that wisdom will flow. You know that ideas are going to flow. You know that you don't have to worry about it. You know that source got your back. You know your divine team has your back. You know that you came into this planet with a divine team behind you. You know that, listen, this is how I talk to myself. If you came into my house on a day that I felt some kind of trepidation, this is what goes on. I know I have a divine team behind my back. I know that I am not alone. I know that I can tap into limitlessness. I know that I am unlimited. I know that I'm not this human body. I know this is how I walk through. I want to live my life such that my peace is not disturbed by the character's experiences. And in order to do that, I have to reprogram my response to life. So that when these things come up, I go to the source. I don't go to the marketer. I don't go to a marketing person. I don't look to somebody else to save me. I don't look to somebody else to rescue me and make my business better. I go to the source first. That's how I want to live my life. And I can't live my life that way if I have a running program that has me thinking I'm a human body all the time. I have a running program that keeps me thinking the only way that I can make this work is if my body is able to figure it out, if my mind is able to figure it out. This physical form is very limited without the source that you are. If this is the only thing you see is the story, and the only thing you see is the struggle, then the only thing you're seeing is this physical form and what this mind is capable of. But what are you capable of when you know that you are not separate from the source within you? What are you capable of when you know that you're not separate from the source within you? You have to know that. I can't know that for you. And you have to reprogram your response to life with that. Write something down to yourself. Y'all know you fall into worry, right? We all know we fall into worry. Write something down. The next damn time worry comes up, this is what I'm going to walk around saying. Right? This is what I'm going to repeat to myself back and forth until I bring myself out of that. Because life is intoxicating. That story is really strong. You know, that story of struggle is really enticing. So enticing that you keep repeating it, you know? But at some point we have to go, you know what? I have lived enough of my life just focused on my physical existence. It's enough already. I've lived enough years on this planet only focused on what my physical form is capable of and what my physical mind. It's enough. I've had enough. It's enough. I am going to invest my reprogramming to tune into the source that is within me. Because I am predominantly source, and this human mind and body that I keep getting drawn back into is not where I find solace. It is not where I find peace. And I cannot find peace and solace in physical forms out there either, AKA a marketer. And everyone will have a different way to reprogram. Me, I will pace back and forth. I will go for days on end, 30 days if I need to, programming a new truth in my mind. That's what I talked about in how I contemplate. But what happens now without that programming is the minute a challenge comes up, the minute something comes up, we go, oh, I gotta figure this out. How do I figure this out? Who do I need to call? What do I need? You're back in the story, completely dismissing that you are connected to a power source. You completely dismiss that. We all have to wake up and go, I am not this body. I'm not this mind. I am predominantly source energy. And we make that our go-to in life. And until we do that, we're constantly groping in the dark, searching for answers. We're constantly covering our eyes going, how do I figure this out? How do I? Peel your hands off your eyes. See the light that you are. See the source that you are. See that you are connected to a power source. See that you are connected to a life force. And tap into that life force. Every time something comes up, tap into the life force. Make your first response be, I tap into the life force within me. Business going back, I tap into the life force within me. Body falling apart, I tap into the life force that was in me. Relationship falling apart, I tap into the life source within me. Bank account low, I tap into the life force within me. You have to get to the point. You don't have to. You can choose to struggle and suffer. But at some point, we get to the place where like, enough, that's enough. That's enough focus on my limited physical form and what my mind can figure out. I'm ready to tap into the limitless life force that I am, because that's always there. Why am I not tapping into that? Why is that not my first go-to? At some point you start to question it, and then you start to become it. Much of what we're experiencing in terms of struggle and suffering is a programming, is repeatedly told ourselves a story. Well, you can unprogram and reprogram by repeatedly telling yourself a story. Right? A new story, right? That's what I do when I'm sitting in deep contemplation. I am telling myself a new story repeatedly, over and over, day in, day out, every single quiet time, day in, day out, every single quiet time. That's how I reprogram. You can find other ways to reprogram as well. That's kind of how I do it. But I do know that your programming and your current response to life came through repetition. And your programming and your current response to life can be reprogrammed through repetition. What's the repetition that you're tapping into? I just shared a lot of what I do. Let's go back to the story here. And it is just a story. I struggle with running the back end, and it's a concept. Okay, we talked about that. I would like to focus on perhaps hiring someone to get me interviews on podcasts. This is you in the moment going, I got to figure this out. Maybe it's hiring somebody. Now that idea can come from the source within you as well, but the way in which you're phrasing it here, I don't know. It feels like it's coming out of the perception of struggle. Yeah, because you said, when I did that earlier this year, it brought me some income. So now you're like, that's my go-to. That's my source. That's not your source. Because the podcast brought you money last year or earlier in the past or whatever, doesn't mean you fly to that for looking for that as your savior. Again, you've got a power source within you. You've got a power source within you. You've got a power source within you. If you don't program that in, you keep looking to the mind. You keep looking to the body. What can the body do? What can the mind do? What can the mind figure out? What can the body do? Is it possible for the body to spend more time on marketing? Is it possible for the body to spend more time? You keep looking to the body when you have a power source that. So yes, you can hire someone to do interviews and podcasts. Sure, you can do that. Nothing wrong with that. But don't do it because you think it's the source of money. The source of money is within you. The last question was, how do I increase my confidence on how and who to hire? I would submit to you that that's not where you increase your confidence. How and who to hire will be an outcome of your overall confidence. So the question, better phrased, would be, how do I increase my overall confidence in life such that none of these things shake my core peace? That's a better question to ask. And when your core peace is unshaken, there's more space for ideas for who to hire, how to hire, do marketing, what I did. There's more space for those ideas to come through because you're not in the emotion of struggle. You're not in the emotion of, oh my gosh, who do I trust? Oh, I figured this out. When you're there, you're groping around in the dark. You're not turning on the light switch. The light switch is, I don't have to figure this out. It's figured out already. Because my higher self knows all of the answers and I am not separate from my higher self. You got to release the worry and release the struggle in order to see what's possible. There's so much possible for you and your business. You are loved. You are supported. There's a divine team behind you going, I wish you would stop blocking what we're trying to send her. Right? It's like if she would stop trying to figure it out, we could send her some shit. But she's just groping around in the dark trying to figure it out. So you got to let go of the reins for a little bit and go, okay, marketing ain't working anyway. Nobody's calling me on a podcast anyway. Let me go in. Let me go inward while I have this time. Life has given me time. So let me go in. Let me go inward and tap into the power source that's within me. Let me call forth clarity. I declare clarity over my life. I declare clarity over my life. I declare ease over my life. I declare effortlessness over my life. When you start making these declarations on your life, when you start calling forth that into your life, these stories can't come up because it might try to touch your energy, but your energy is so expanded that it's like gnats. They're buzzing around, but it's like, no, that's where I've been. I can't think in those ways anymore. I can't think in that. I have reprogrammed. I can't think in those ways anymore. Thanks again, everyone, for being a part of our Q&A experience. There are more questions coming. I will upload another video shortly, and it will be added to our Q&A playlist as well. Please also remember to take what resonates and discard what does not. Always, always, always trust your own inner guidance above all else. I'm sharing from my personal experiences here. This is by no means the way to live. It's just part of my own personal evolution that I'm sharing with others. This is all for now. I will see you guys soon in another video. Bye.